22, and discussion, comments.
This is my last year, to work with the budget, and I just wanted to kind of go over, it's nothing to do with 21, 22, the current year we're in. As far as, what I gave you, this was, 2021's budget. I just wanted to explain how I get these numbers. If you have not, did I give you one?
Yeah.
But, so I just wanted to explain how I get this, come up with this. Basically, DOE sends it to me. Then I just gotta put it into our budget. So, and there's four types of money you get. This first one is the federal. That is our, the ROTC funds, okay? So if we did not have that program, we probably would not have anything there, okay, in that area. That is an estimation, we have them come, go, but this is basically what we would be receiving if we have 2 ROTCs throughout the year. Sometimes we don't, but this is just what you have to anticipate. Okay, so the second set, and you see these numbers, the account numbers, is very important, especially with auditors, when they go to look and see, when they try to identify funds that you have received throughout the year. The third digits, the 3 digits to the right of the 3, that is what they look for. That's what we code from. Okay, and then the federal through state is the next one. Okay, that is our Medicaid billing, and that's Laura handles the Medicaid. We get an anticipated, basically is what we received last year, an estimation of what we received. We have to just put something in there, and it's pretty close normally. It depends if she has a lot more Medicaid billing for that year, or less. It just comes together. I mean, but that's what we budget towards. Okay, and then you got your forestry funds. We have been getting them. I looked back. Mr. Petty was asking, have we been receiving it every year? Was the amounts I sent it the last 10 years? 1 year is the only year that we have not received it. It was around $38,000 is all we received. Our average is around $300,000. We do have to give 7% to the county. It is, Mr. Petty had come to me because I had asked him when I first got here, because I've never dealt with forestry funds and how it flowed. But your county commissioners, they actually, your clerk's office actually does the paperwork for you for the forestry funds. The county gets an average about $750,000 a year, just an average. They get half, we get half. But then we have to pay 7% to them. It assists in, and they allocate it. We don't have no control. We're just told that we have to give, and we do. The auditors check. And we have to do that by June 30th. So I can wait till the June 30th to send it. By June 30th, I have to send it, and it's an average of $28,000 of the money we receive. The next thing is the state. The state tells us what we're going to get. The first one is your 310. That is your that's your FFB. That's what I keep discussing about FTE. That's how you're funded in your state. It's from class size reduction to reading, and it's all to pay for basically anything that federal can't pay. Yeah, it doesn't pay through federal grants. That is basically how DOE, they don't care how many schools you got. They don't care. All they look at is numbers. How many students you have in each grade level, and I believe we file by span, grade span. So, but it's still important. It doesn't matter. We got 2 K-8 schools. It does not matter, they don't care how many schools you've got. If you're supposed to have a certain amount of kids per grade, that's what they look at. And then we have got to make a decision on how we're going to, not to say that we don't need, 12 kids in a class or something. With teachers, you need extra teachers, and, I agree with small classes, but can you afford it? That's what you have to look at. But anyway, and sometimes you're right there at that threshold and you've got to get another teacher, and it's the luck of the draw. And then throughout the year, you may lose. Well then, guess what? You're going to eat that loss. And you've got to have a place to get it from, and that's your fund balance, because you have no other place. Because they fund you, in your second and third quarter of your, is it October, your October FTE count and your February FTE count. That's what they look at in seating time. So they look at all that. If you have an influx of 50 students February, you're only going to get seating time. You're not going to go, they're not going to go back and fund you the first half, just the second half. Okay? So that's why it's important to overstaff. You can always add. You just can't, you can't say, I'm sorry, I don't need your services anymore. That's hard to swallow now to wait it out and see what how you do it. But there you go. You've got class size reduction that comes into play. And they want to make sure that you have your numbers, you're not over, or they can hit you with a penalty. Okay. That would be your, your workforce development. That is adult school. That is the only thing you could spend it on. You cannot spend it on anything else. So that's just adult school. Adult school gets federal funding and general funding. The this amount is sent to us. So I can't decrease that. They send it, and then I believe now we have to file every 3 years. It stays kind of consistent for 3 years. So right now, this is what we had last year, so you'll see the same amount for this upcoming year. It's the same amount when I looked at it.
You might have said, does that matter how many kids or people are in?
At the adult school, yes, there will be, yes.
Okay,
There
it
is.
depends on the amount.
Same thing.
Okay.
Let's see, your CNDS, basically $1,000 is just $1,000, it's a holding place. You have to expense it, you have to encumber, throw it in revenue. That is, the state tells us what we've got to put, and we have to do an E-Direct in the year, it's minute. It goes in, goes out. Sales tax, this is the track, the Greyhound track, back a long time ago, they had these funds set aside for school districts, and it stays consistent. It doesn't change. So I took like the same amount in there every year, and that is what we get. It's been, I've been in school finance for, I'm going 36 years, and it's the same thing. Every county, they allot X amount of dollars, it's the same, it doesn't ever change. State course, that is the gentleman that comes in from the Florida State course, that's what that is. I have a place order for $21,000, we might get 18, we might get 23. You just got to for that. State license taxes, like tax, we get like educational tax, that's where I place that. Class size reduction there again, that is, they tell us how much we're going to receive. And then you have to do got some information that is collected at the preschool level. And that's where we place that. That's to help cover salaries. And then with the FTE that we get for the ESC children. And then next you got your level. That's our property taxes. That is calculated. What I do when I start the budget. Now this is the first year we're electronically sending it. I like that. But we are, I sent it for approval, make sure, because this is what, basically I have to make sure we got it right and put it in the paper, because it costs around $1,500 to put it in the paper budget. So I'll verify that, and then when I'm good to go, all my ads is ready and I'll send it to the paper. The next one is the 461, that's our adult ed courses. That's where the students that, comes in and pays for their courses, I think it's around $35 for their course fees. That's where we place them. Preschool program, the 471, again, that is where the parents pay for their kids to stay the second half of the day that don't have a disability. And then you got your 490, that's your miscellaneous. That's anything that is local, that's not coming in from the state. It could be, insurance claim, or it could be anything like that, that'll go there. Okay, so that's why it's so high, because we do have a lot of claims, and last year it was, Hurricane Michael, things like that. And then, of course, your, as you go down, your transfers in, that's the estimation of what I need, capital improvement to cover maintenance salaries, insurance, or you think that I can do this, like if say, Kevin has something that he's, that's pole barn can be paid out of capital improvement as well. But say I paid out general and didn't know if I was going to have enough money to get my capital outline, I can turn around and transfer it, and that's where to go. But typically that's the insurance and maintenance salaries. And I have to do this off. Your next page is your appropriations. Basically, we have taken what we've done in the prior year, this is basically we just plug what we paid the prior year. I'll check and see if there's anything major that y'all wanted to do in general, and then I'll adjust here. But this is like, again, you're estimating what your plans on spending for that year. We got a couple of positions that we're moving around. That's where I would also, I'll adjust. Now, you see at the bottom, you see this is just estimations. That's what it's called a budget. If you had a crystal ball, you'd know exactly what you're going to do. I got $692,000. Well, I'm looking at around 600, hopefully 620, 630, something like that, for my fund balance. And I thought it was pretty good, not knowing how it was going to do. I do my best trying to be conservative in my general, because that is the only one that you've got a little bit of fund balance. Your fund balance consists of assigned fund balance, your restricted. Restricted would be on account of multiple, but the state tells you you have class size reduction. You can always pay it on class size reduction. And with 99.9%, we pay it on salaries. You've got reading allocation, you've got textbooks, you've got library media, science, those things that are earmarked that they tell us on the this right here, and y'all can download it off the DOE website. It tells you, it gives you a breakdown on how it comes about, how it's made up, how the allocation is. This can change. This is my first. This is my first calculation. I'll get a second one by hopefully Friday, and I can look at it and have it concrete. but that's the second count. The second count is some adjustments that they made. But this is what I work on initially. This is where I go to the superintendent and say, okay, this is where we're at. We're around $460 due to it. I do have, and we will talk about that more. This is just more of a informative. We'll talk more about where it is a lot of this time. The locations they go along. See your regular, your DJJ facility, we get 2% right now from what their funding is. But now it's 5%, and also that hurts. When you were generating over $100,000, and now, but they're 18%. So I would say 30,000, 40,000, maybe you're gonna get out of that, and you're the gatekeeper. If the money comes to us, and then I have to send you a check every month. Now, if something happens a few years back, there was some issues at the judge just because of reporting, and so what happened was they were deemed it was not our fault as far as it wasn't our FTE. So I didn't see that while Liberty County School Board would be deemed for over $100,000. That's how much they would get. And so actually Stephanie came up with a brilliant idea. We tell them they said, give us a check, because we had to report that. We had to report it that we got those funds back. So we did that. We gave them a check and gave us a check. And so I could report it. So that worked. So that's why it's important also that we make sure that they're doing what they need to do as far as the system on it. But there's I think I saw in here in the first count, it looked like they were your supplement was the money was over $100,000. So they're going to be hurt as well. But anyhow, but it's very important to look at this. I'll be happy to print it up, because it is a lot. But I think it's about the first, I believe it's 17 pages, the first 17. You can actually go on it. And you can go back and tell the public that, this is why you can't do this, this is why you can't do that. Because our funding is down in these areas.
You send us the link to that, please.
So basically, our timeline, the trim, got deadlines, and that's when we. But anyway, the Department of Revenue turns around and certifies it to DOE. And they have a couple of days that they have to turn around and send it to us, and it's being reviewed. They have to have a certain amount of that time. I think it's a couple of days in between, but they have to get it to us no later than the 19th. So, and then we take off. It comes, we have to give a copy to the tax collector. I have to send 120S. I have to send one to them. I have to send the original back to the property appraiser's office. We keep one, and that's why we have to go through the approval one by one, and get it certified. And then in September we do the final budget. And it's basically if there was any change, we have time. That's why it's called tentative. You have time to get it right. I'm not talking about the millage rate. The millage rate's got to start as is, but the in between the appropriations to the revenue, you can adjust anywhere. But yes, the millage rate. But yeah, but that's why you have a little bit of time. And we're still trying to close out the old year, bringing in the new. Stephanie, that's why she can't put dollar amounts to distributions until the board approves it, that final adoption, and then she can make it live. She can go ahead and have everything ready, but she can put that button, but she has to enter. She has to enter a lot, because for every line there, she has about every cost for every function object. cost center projects, we have multiple projects. And then you got your federal is like grants. She makes sure that that's put in based off of, the grants, school lunch. Right now, I'm talking to Katie about that. That's how it's a roundabout figure for this upcoming year, but, this year. We'll probably have to send it permanently, about 50,000. They're already probably what 50,000. They're about 49,000 right now borrowing, and so that will. Well, you have to worry about school lunch. School lunch is supposed to stand on its own. It's not supposed to make money, but it should be able to stand on its own. It's done well. We're moving in the right direction.
One of the things that impacted this year was COVID, because we didn't want as many in the lunchroom, we let juniors off. So this year, the juniors will come back. So nobody's been able to go off campus and now be restricted. So it'll be those 10th graders that are moving up to the junior class. And well, at the K's as well, we went from the closed trays, which were quite a bit expensive, to like 13 cent regular open trays. And then also you had to do away with the share table, which was sometimes through because they could get lunch and have it on the share table for other students. Get something. So that kind of with COVID, you know.
So we are improving.
And another thing we're trying to do, and I want to piggyback, because lunch, y'all remember that's why we privatized years ago. We were trying to find a way to quit bleeding, and it worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work. So another thing we're trying to look at is for the seniors that do go off campus, here's your lunch. Take it with you, please take it with you, and try to get as much participation. Gotta have participation.
Right. That's how we make our revenue.
That's right.
She has to send a report.
And Stacy's doing a phenomenal job trying to make, I don't know if some of y'all saw the menu. We got a little preview of it, trying to make it look again, and that's what the private companies make it look more like a restaurant. From what you call it, a self PR that goes behind food. People, something looks good. We are going to fry chicken.
Yeah,
They are going to fry chicken.
At high school, you're kind of lost.
And fries.
Is that we all want?
I just have that.
Yeah.
We having to fix all the fryers. They've been used for years.
Well, that's something that keeps it. I like that. Looks good. That tastes good. I don't
That's
laugh.
all the kids want.
Correct.
But they're home, and also they bring in the adults.
I mean, yeah, even staff,
Yeah, that's really bringing in good money too, because they don't get, that's cash.
Well, run to McDonald's and they take you whole lunch hour, you run it in.
That's right.
You just have it on campus.
You're not there.
But anyway, so that's work in progress, so we're moving to the right direction. But then you capital outlay, we all know about our sales tax that we lost. The only thing that was paying for it is our payments, our 4 years of payments, 5 years actually. This is our last payment that we'll have to make for the new high school, and it's around $200,000. That's what I had money. I had everything, and but yeah, I had $850,000 set aside for the school. I need just one more year, and
Sheila and I had a little bit of discussion about this morning, or maybe Thursday, running together. I think we really need to have a good conversation about new market tax credit, having a little chunk of that. We got to fix the things we need to fix, and we need to get those things that we know are priority items. But if we budget it correctly to put a little chunk, because it is unrestricted, we could put some back. To replace some of this. We got a bunch of people.
Until you don't know what's gonna come up.
Correct. We have got to get a little hands on it. We got a bunch, and another thing too, if you mentioned it, I don't think to be redundant, we've got a bunch of people leaving. Present company included. You got to pay out sick leave your career benefits that has a cost, so we've got to, I do believe we gotta have those tough conversations on putting some back. We'll be able
That might be really assist in the, process.
to, at least for the year.
I got June 30th, I gotta pay it, so. I'll work towards that. And then by August, I've got to get everybody at least $10 an hour. So I got.
How bad is that gonna hurt us?
I'm working on it. I have some digits for us,
It's very substantial. Well, and it'll increase.
yeah, every year, every increase. And then I have to look at the whole salary schedule, really, because you're gonna be right there on some, you might have to adjust, but I'll get that information.
So somebody that's making $12 an hour, they wanna fix us. But you wanna adjust them this time,
Right.
you'll wait till it gets to the $13 an hour.
And then you're gonna have to, what are you gonna do for these people that are seasoned, that's been with you, that made $12, that make been there 10 years and just make it 12? What are you doing? I mean, there's a lot of things that we.
But I mean, that's mandated by the government.
Well, it's constitutional, and again, it sounds good, but what happens is when you give, kind of like we did last year with the teachers, when they're trying to get that bottom salary up, and then you kind of neglect those others that they're like, what about us? That's a fair ask. It's gonna be the same thing here. You'll have somebody, let's say they're making, right above the threshold, maybe they're at $15.50 an hour, just up, and then all of a sudden, these two people just got hired, boom, they got $15 an hour, they make the same, I've been working here 20 years. That's a morale, that causes a morale issue. And again, people understand that you didn't make that decision, you were kind of forced to do that, but it still makes for, you have to kind of really start looking at your job descriptions and all that, because it is, again, fair ask with if that position, which doesn't require maybe the amount of expertise, training, schooling, certification, and they're doing that, then surely I prorate that for me. I mean, that should be some. And it's hard to do.
You see the salary schedule, it depends on basically your job, what you do. This is not wanna be that, and you're flat with $15, regardless what you
Show it up.
So that's where you won't have to play with it. You don't have to read, you won't have to do workshops, try to figure out what you're gonna do to keep the people that, that may require more skills than, someone. But anyway.
Well, it will mean that the school board will no longer have any entry-level job. You think of an entry-level job, minimum wage, starting something, you think about the high school student. There's a lot of adults work minimum wage, don't want to do that, but typically, minimum wage has always been about an entry-level position. Not just us, nobody. Fast food, nobody will have an entry-level job. From a pay.
That's how the wage is a little different. The art stipulation that for the low, first year teachers, which that they, those stipulations come with, we talk about it. You do this with these, you gotta do artificially, that type of thing. There are different stipulations. There's ripple, minimum wage, you have, gotta have.
But, I just wanted to kind of discuss how I want to come up with these numbers in our budget. It's pretty much given, and native money, of course. This is basically, they tell me, but native money is what we spend. Are we able to stay within our threshold? Are we able to stay above our 5%? Which is a policy, it's not what's required by DOE. But it is required 3%. But it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. 2% is a couple of $1,000.
We could get an audit criticism if we would follow our own policy of 5%.
Yes.
Get the year to get.
Oh, I know the DOE, but I'm saying.
On our own policy.
We, on our, that our own policy,
They do look at that, but DOE pretty much put a question, but it needs to stay at high to give you a little bit of wiggle room, give you a couple of $1,000. That's not a lot. You have a hiccup, you have a plumbing issue or a roof, I mean. Then you can find.
Yeah, well, I don't see anything in calendar 344.
Is that a smart?
No,
No.
344, I mean.
it's kind of out of the question.
Just that's absorbed by 50 grand gift. They.
That's very good.
Yeah. It used to be a really good thing, but then they just kind of
So
absorbed it.
more money the state gives us, the less money the lottery gives us, right?
Well, what they say is the lottery money put in the state.
That's-
It was
They
bait
hide it.
switch.
Back,
It was
back,
bait switch.
back in the day,
Very
they used to
good.
have an allotment for lottery. Yeah. For the lottery, you know, but now they kind of absorb that in annually.
Some people don't know that it is.
It was sold as this is extra money. All it is is
Lottery.
reduce it somewhere else,
Yeah.
replace for school.
No.
Well, I thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Anything, just please call me.
I'll probably.
I'll see y'all later. But it's very helpful for your grant managers to be able to know where the funds are coming from too, and, they utilize that a lot with that side, but anytime, it's all based on FTE. They do, we try our best to, have a clean audit, we work very hard on it, and, we try to follow it.
Thank you, Sheila.
Any other questions, comments? Motion to adjourn?
And just a reminder, I'll be out for that conference tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be back Thursday afternoon. That includes me, Gail, Jeff, and the principals of